Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's May 15th Traffic Commission. Would everyone mind please standing for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag, to the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. The only person absent from tonight is Frank Stringy from Community Development. Other than that, we have a quorum, so we can proceed. Our first item in the public hearing is the metering of 17 public parking spaces designated for public use at the Gibson Apartments. So this is open for public hearing. Anyone would like to speak as a proponent or a opponent of this?
Zachary Babo, Director of Parking, 281 Broadway. This came up as the development of Gibson Point looked for additional conservation land to build out their parking lot. They petitioned at the state level. The state approved this, but with it being approved, they were to provide us with 18 public parking spaces. This was a negotiated term between them and DPCD with the approval of the state. And there's a restaurant opening up at the bottom of this building where the restaurant is going to need parking, and that's what these spots are for, not only for the restaurant, for any member of the public that wants to view the pier and the conservation area over there. And I am in support of this. I think it's a benefit to both the city of Revere and this piece of property, as well as, honestly, it's a win-win. The development's willing to pay for the material, the meters themselves to be placed here, if they were to be a public space in the future, and the city is able to reap the rewards of that. I don't see how this is a bad thing at all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Baba, would you, one quick question. Is there more than 17 public parking spaces, or are there only 17?
17 public. Everything
Okay.
else is owned by the private building itself.
Understood. Thank you.
Just to explain, this area wasn't developable until there was a special permit provided by the state, but there were certain parameters this building has to follow through with in order to have these as public parking spaces for their building.
Okay. Thank you. Any other proponents or opponents? Seeing and hearing none. Any comments from the commission? No? Well, in that case, I recommend motion to approve. I think this is a necessary measure to keep those parking spaces open so people can utilize the parking for the restaurant and whatever may be down there.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion has passed. Item number 2 for public hearing is a request to change the speed of the following. Campbell Ave, both directions from Centennial Ave to Revere Beach Parkway, change of speed from 25 miles per hour to 20. Are there any proponents or opponents for this? Counselor?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Ira Novoselsky, 53D Hone Street, Ward 2 Counselor. I'm requesting this as a request from my constituents that live on Campbell Ave. And Campbell Ave is a pass-through for cars avoiding North Shore Road down by the Sunoco station because of the lights, and it's always backed up there. So people are flying down that street. I happen to be at the construction site, with the Mercurio's building, and I was with an officer, and some car came by. He was going 50 miles an hour. He was going so fast the cop couldn't get the information from his car. He went by so fast. So, and he said, why is everybody speeding? Because they want to speed. I've spoken to some of the residents, and they would like to see the speed reduced. And if you go into the police records, over the last 3 years, there's been 11 accidents on the lower, going down on the hill part of Campbell Ave, with multiple vehicles being damaged. The last one being a flip over, right by around 48 Campbell Ave. So people want this, and we'd appreciate if you can go to MassDOT and see if we can get this speed limit reduced to 20 miles an hour. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents, opponents? Counselor, just quickly, if through the other traffic calming measures, would 25 miles per hour be acceptable? Is it, because people are speeding currently. So if they were at 25, would that make the residents happy, or would you still 20 is what they would
Still like
expect?
the 20 with the
Okay.
speed calming
Okay,
issues that are going to be requested.
I got you. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Commission, do we have any input on this? Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
understand that this still has to be
You
a,
could make the speed limit 5 miles an hour and people are still going to speed. So, I mean, I don't know that, whatever the road is designed to, the speed that's designed to hold is what they make the limit at, correct?
agreed, but we still don't have the authority to make this change regardless. It has to go to MassDOT for what is it called, a speed limit review from them before we could even put this into effect. So, I'm sorry, Jim.
Correct. And the thing is, even the machines that are set for the 20 or 25 miles an hour to check the speed limits, that may change, but I don't suspect that's going to change before we get to the speed calming issues. As far as lowering it. Because when they set the machine, they set it for 25 miles an hour if it's 25 on the street, or they set it for 20 miles an hour if it's 20 miles an hour on the street.
Okay, but just for clarification, for the traffic calming measures, I believe we should set it at 25 for the speeding. I don't want to estimate, I don't want to have the posted speed limit be 25 and then do the traffic calming study as if it should be 20. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you
Okay.
mean. I don't expect this is going to be changed by MassDOT so quickly. I think we're going to come first on doing our thing.
Agreed.
So, we'll, use it as the 25.
Okay, well, it can't hurt to send a submission to MassDOT, although we have to consider what measures we end up putting in place for the traffic
Yeah.
calming study that was also submitted, so.
Yeah, well, basically, we're either going to put more speed bumps in or we're not, or we're going to put some other measures in.
Yeah,
So, understood.
Commissioner, you have any other thoughts?
Mr. Chairman, just a question. Is it appropriate for us to approve prior to MassDOT? In other words, would they require a change or a adjustment by the city prior to their consideration? Or is
No.
it,
We can't make any change until MassDOT approves this.
understood, but will MassDOT not consider it unless the city already has that kind of in place? Or are we putting the cart before the horse here?
I don't think
That's the
so. I don't think we can make any change until MassDOT approves it at all, so
So then this needs to be tabled at this point?
No,
we can table it and send it to MassDOT for approval and then bring it back up if it gets approved by MassDOT.
Yeah, if I may, Mr. Chairman, from what I read, MassDOT, in order for them to proceed, have to get approval from the city that they
So
want.
that's my question.
Yeah.
Do we have to show that we're in the process of implementation before they'll consider it? Or is it a situation where we request it and they approve it and then we implement it? Sounds like they want to have our
They want our
input
approval
first.
first.
They want what we're requesting the change, so if we want to
Okay.
change it to 20 miles per hour, we have to submit that to MassDOT, and they have to approve it before we can enact the
Okay.
20 mile per hour change.
Understood.
So,
Thank you.
I agree, we can't go through with approving this until we get the okay from MassDOT.
Well, actually, MassDOT is looking for your approval before they start.
Yeah, I understood, but we can't change it on the books.
No, but we're saying you're approving it pending consideration from MassDOT.
Yes, that's fair.
So it's really, it's an approval with implementation
Contingent.
to be contingent upon MassDOT.
Yes.
Correct.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve this change with the implementation being contingent upon application and approval by MassDOT.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Thank you.
So we can move forward with the submittal to MassDOT, but we cannot change any language contingent on their approval. Thank you, everyone. Item number 3, to amend Schedule 19 on-street parking meter zones by adding a decent amount of spaces. We have 4 on Dehon, 12 on North Shore Road, 12 on Shirley, 2 on, oh, yep, that's all, I'm sorry. The other section is removed. Well, it's just a switch of, let me just read them all. 4 spaces on Dehon Street, North Shore Road, direction easterly from Centennial to Shirley, approximately 12 spaces. Shirley Ave northernly from 72 Shirley Ave to Walnut Ave, approximately 12 spaces. And then they would be removing Shirley Ave from 75 Shirley Ave, 2 parking spaces, 2 15-minute spaces. Shirley Ave, oh, that's the same one. Shirley Ave northerly from at 158 Shirley Ave, 15-minute parking only. 102 Shirley Ave, 15-minute parking. Centennial Ave, northernly, North Shore Road, 30 feet east, 1 hour parking. North Shore Road, easterly Centennial, 154 North Shore Road to the north end of the property line, 2 hour parking. All right, so there's a decent amount of changes here. Counselor, I was informed that you wanted to have a public meeting with the
That is
residents
correct,
over
Mr.
there
Chairman.
before we
Ira
move forward?
Novoselsky. Yes, and I mentioned this for the parking director, that before this got approved, I wanted to have a neighborhood meeting, but I didn't have it in this format, you know, so to be able to put it together in my head, because there's a lot involved here, and there's even some things that may be missing that may have to be added before we finalize this whole thing. So, you know, some people want the meters, some people don't realize that, you know, we're getting rid of the 15-minute parking and putting in the 15-minute button on the meter. So that's what we want to explain to the people, what's happening. And so that's for number 4. So I'm asking that be tabled and be for your next meeting, and I will have a community meeting within the next 2 weeks.
Okay, so that is
Thank you.
for public hearing number 3 and 4, and I would tend to agree with you. The more information we can get out to the residents before we move forward with something like this, the better.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I make a motion to table both items 3 and 4 in an effort to allow the ward councilor to have a meeting with the residents and table to our next meeting next month.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All
Thank
those
you, gentlemen,
opposed?
appreciate it.
Item number 3 and 4 will be tabled to our next hearing. Of course.
So just a quick question on the last item. Do we know when the next scheduled meeting is? Or when we plan on having the next scheduled track? Only reason why is
June,
there was an essence of time with this because there is money, a part of DPCD, a grant, that is set to expire by June 30th if the funds aren't expended. So my only concern is if we don't have a traffic commission meeting to kind of hash this out before that June 30th date, the product would need to be purchased and I believe installed to cover the grant. June 20th?
Director Vava, do you think that would be acceptable? The
Um,
20th?
I would defer to Tom if that would be appropriate. But I don't know if Julie from DPCD may have more information on that grant, if the June 20th is a little bit of a tight timeline on this item. Maybe she can help us out. The CBDG
Next meeting that we're having.
is the June 20th, so
It's, actually, the next meeting is scheduled for June 19th, which we are not available, we're not open that day. So we should probably set a meeting date for the next meeting. It's Juneteenth. Juneteenth is the 19th, right? Juneteenth.
I'm not aware.
We can do a week before, a week, actually, a week after, maybe. That'll give us
Well-
4 weeks.
After would conflict with what Director Babo just stated about the funding. So we should probably move it forward.
Okay.
I would request for the 12th, just to
Yeah, June 12th.
give us enough time to, Tom, to make sure that grant can be secured and used appropriately.
Understood, thank you. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. All right, moving forward. I believe that wraps up our public hearings. The next item would be item number 1 of the proposals the following new and proposed multifamily residential developments shall be included under section 10.34.020 as non-eligible for residential parking stickers. 8 Avon, Amaya at Suffolk Downs, 650 Beach, 51 to 53 Centennial, 21 Green Street, 1510 North Shore Road, 1499 North Shore Road, 1198 North Shore Road, 1473 North Shore Road, 110 Ocean Ave, 100 Revere Street, 571 Revere Street, 8 Revere Street, 451 Revere Beach Boulevard, 459 Revere Beach Boulevard, 37 Revere Beach Boulevard, 133 Salem Street, 163 Shirley Ave, 38 Walnut Ave, and 55 Walnut Ave. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this is due to the approval for these properties to be developed without the ability to park with residential stickers. So this is more of a clerical, cleaning up the books type of item. Are there any proponents or opponents to this?
Mr. Chairman, just a point of information, some of these properties are yet to be built.
Understood. Understood, but they are currently in development.
They're in various
Stages.
of development. Correct.
Understood,
Mr. Chairman,
thank
if
you.
you want, you can blame me for this. I reached out to Frank Stringy and just asked to be updated on any properties that were either came online recently or set to come online that fall under the no parking variance, meaning no permits, just to make sure that we enter these addresses appropriately in my system. As sometimes we find out 6 months after the buildings are already completed, occupied, and somebody might have fooled something into my computer system and got a permit through. So this was more of me getting ahead of the game, and I think when I asked Frank, he realized it had to come in front of you guys just in case, just for confirmation. So that's why this is here, and we're asking for a public hearing on this item.
No, thank you very much. All right. I tend to agree with Director Babo and Frank on this. It is probably the right move to get
Yeah.
these ahead of time before these get occupancy and then these residents move in and are able to obtain parking if they're not allowed to in their lease. Counselor?
Yeah, most of these are already done. I know 51, 53 Centennial Ave is not even constructed yet, you know, what they want to do. They're adding 6 units. It's part of a 7-unit building, and they're adding 6 units. So that's why he wants to increase, put them on a different list.
Correct. But they would not be eligible for on-street parking,
That's
correct?
correct.
Okay.
That's correct. You know, they're basically losing it. They're going to have parking underneath the new construction.
Okay, on-site.
So, on-site.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Another point of information, 21 Green Street, once constructed, will be known as 349 Lee Burbank Highway.
Good to know. So we
Mr.
can make that
Chairman?
correction. 349 Lee Burbank. Yes.
Mr.
Sorry,
Chairman,
Counsel.
also 163 Shirley Ave, third one from the bottom. That project was, fell apart, so they're not doing it. Right now, it's still 2 stores, and it won't be built.
Do they have a approved building permit?
They got approval from the council, the ZBA, but what happened, it's over 2 years ago, and they haven't done anything with it.
Okay.
So that property's not gonna be constructed at all, unless they come in for a revision on it.
All right, it might be good just to add it to the book now, in case it gets transferred in ownership and somebody starts to move forward with the project.
That's fine, it just,
Okay.
gives more reason to restrict them to their height, because it was reduced to a four-floor
Okay,
building.
thank you.
Mr. Chairman, there's some concern about including that one, only because if it doesn't move forward within the next year, then doesn't that put in jeopardy the people that living there having trouble getting a permit if it's just a two-family right now?
Is that at the Shirley Ave one? It's not a two-family, it's a retail store.
Okay. Okay. My mistake.
Okay, in light of that, I think we should just move forward with, if there's an open building permit, I'd rather have it covered if it has been approved. All right. Council, any motion to move this to a public hearing?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to move these addresses to public hearing.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Move to public hearing. All right, item number 2 is a request from Councilor Cogliandro to place "Do Not Enter Resident Only" sign at the beginning of 18 Rossetti Street and 19 Rossetti Street. Oh, I believe that's right past the commercial portion of that street. And then Prince Street, due to vehicle using street to park all day and night. Any comments, proponents, opponents?
Just more points of information. Respect to the counselor, he's trying hard for his constituents. He's getting creative and trying to find different ways to protect that area, as it's an influx, it has seen an influx of vehicles due to the construction in the zone. And to confirm what you said, yes, 19 Rossetti would start after that parking lot of the May Institute, and the auto body to the left side, that's where the residential would pick up. Just points of clarification, I'm not a proponent or an opponent for this, but just wanted to reassure you, yes, that is after the parking lot.
Okay. Well, me, myself, I'm not completely opposed, but I don't believe we have any way to enforce a measure like this.
Mr. Chairman, I think that the request is slightly inaccurate. I don't think that a do not enter is really appropriate. I think it's more of a parking restriction that needs to be implemented. I would agree, I don't know how you wouldn't prevent people from driving, down that street if they weren't a resident. Parking, I think, is the concern, not the entrance, so to speak.
Okay. So maybe a more proper item would be to move this to a 24-hour resident-only parking for these 2 streets? Does that make more sense?
I would think that that does make more sense.
All right. Well, if that's the case, we can move this to a public hearing as resident-only parking 24 hours, because I believe it is already resident-only at night.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Make a motion to move this to a public hearing with the, as amended, to remove the do not enter and instead implement a 24-hour resident parking.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Move to a public hearing, although it is amended to a 24-hour resident parking only from 18 Rossetti. I don't want to disturb the auto body shop or the institute down there. Item number 3 is to amend Schedule 11 of Title 10 handicap person parking by adding 35 Fernwood Ave and 11 Wave Ave. Okay, I believe, has there been a submitted handicap? Okay. We need the information to go to public hearing. Okay, I suggest we table this until we actually receive the handicap application.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to table both until we receive the application as stated.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? That agenda item will be tabled. Thank you. Item number 4, Department of Planning and Community Development would like to present the Traffic Commission, present to the Traffic Commission the city's traffic working group findings for Mill Street, Charger Street, Proctor at Adams Street, and the group request. Oh, yeah, Proctor, again. Julie?
Okay, Julie Demaro, Department of Planning and Community Development. So what I'm going to be, we're going to take each street one by one. So we have received several petitions. The first one, we're going to start off with Mill Street. This was a petition that was put in by Councilor McKenna. And so we put the boards out there, and what we found that there was the 85 percentile speed did not exceed the speed limit. So there would be no traffic calming measures for that street. We're not suggesting anything. Maybe the Revere Police Department could do some driver education, driver enforcement, slow speeds. The second one is Charger Street. So this was a petition that was put in by a resident. They have 10 residents also on the street that are supporting this petition. We collect data at 52 Charger Street and 181 Charger Street. And it was found that there is speeding, and that we are recommending that a flashing speed sign be placed on Charger Street. And then we are also recommending, and this would be, the second part of this recommendation would have to go to a public hearing. We're recommending putting a stop sign on Charger Street at the Grover Street intersection. There's already one on Grover Street heading out to Charger, but there is not one right before Grover Street at Charger. So that is what we found. What really is needed here is sidewalk reconstruction work, and that is we're going to use these tools that we have right now, and then if that doesn't curb the speeding, we will look into Chapter 90 or Complete Streets or something like that to reconstruct the sidewalks, narrow the roadway. So for tonight, we are requesting a public hearing to install a stop sign at the intersection of Charger Street at Grover.
Commissioners, would you guys like to weigh in on that? I believe that this
You
should
wanna
move
weigh in
forward
on
to a
it?
public hearing?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Any proponents, opponents?
I'm a proponent, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's going.
I'm Christina Robertson. I live at 187 Charger Street. I'm here to support the petition that was submitted several months ago to Mr. Morrow. the transportation coordinator for the city, requesting a speed bump to be placed on Charger Street. Actually, our neighborhood was the first petition to be filed with Mr. Morrow. Although the speed bump will not stop the ever-increasing traffic on the street, I believe there is data to show the extreme number of cars that utilize this residential street daily. It may well slow down the speedsters heading for the light at the intersection of Charger and Squire Road. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with this street, and some of you may use it on a daily basis when you are going to the shopping center or to the city yard or to the commercial end of Charger Street. My hope is that you will approve this petition and place the badly needed speed bump on Charger Street to help alleviate the speeding and perhaps encourage drivers, especially the truck drivers, we get 18-wheelers all the time, to use Squire Road to get to their destination and not cut through a residential neighborhood. Thank you for listening and your consideration. And thank you, Mr. Morrow, for your help.
Thank you.
I was not at the working group meeting, but I think the group decided that a speed bump would not work there because of the number of vehicles. I mean, we're exceeding 20,000 cars a day.
Yeah.
And we're most of those cars, so you have that first stretch of roadway, there's only like 13,000, but that Rumney Road, that right from Rumney, the left from Grover contributed to an additional 7,000 cars. That's quite a bit. So I think let's try this. Let's see what happens. If not, I think the next step is for us to really look at sidewalks.
I have to tell you, in all honesty, we have a very wide driveway, and my husband, we usually park in the driveway. My husband has been parking one of the cars on the street because the guy across the street parks his, and it has slowed them down tremendously because they can't, there's no two lanes, they
Yeah.
can't come down two at a time.
Yeah, understood.
So it's slowed them down a lot. And I hate to do that because.
Yeah, so if you,
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah.
So what, as I said, my husband has been parking on the street because our neighbor parks across the street, and it has slowed the traffic down, slowed the speedsters down considerably because they can't come down two at a time anymore. But the issue is he's already had one of the driver's side mirrors smashed because of being parked on the street. So you take the good and the bad, I guess, is what you do.
Yeah.
But any help, we'll take any help at this point, because 20,000 is what you saw, but believe me, there's much more. We've lived there for 45 years, and
I'm just basing it off the counters that we have.
yeah,
so.
because
Yeah.
of course, as soon as they see those counters, they slow right down because they see the number flashing. But thank you.
Thank you. And I definitely agree. There's definitely a volume problem on that street. There's a lot of traffic.
Well, us and Signori.
So do we want to, so I guess my next request would be, I'm seeking a request for a public hearing for stop sign at Charger at Grover for the next meeting.
Yep, I'm in support of that.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to move the request for a stop sign on Charger at Grover to a public hearing.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
And then
Move to
our,
public hearing.
then our second petition, I don't know what happened in my sheet, has to do with Proctor Ave. So Proctor Ave is a two-part project. We had a resident reach out to us before the traffic working group was actually established, seeking some speed relief at the southern end of Proctor Ave, around 25 Proctor Ave. We found there was no violation of the speed there. He sent in another request, and we honored it. We brought the speed boards out. We put them out at Proctor, at Adams, both west and eastbound. And we did find that there was speeding at this location. The 85% speed exceeded the speed limit at both the locations. So what the location also met other criteria, because it's right near the Revere Housing Authority senior housing. There's a senior housing there, and there's also daycare. So that gave it a few more points. So what we are recommending is that a speed hump be placed west of Smith Street and a stop sign at B Street. So we are requesting a public hearing for the next meeting to put in a speed hump west of Smith Street and a stop sign at B Street.
Thank you very much. as part of being part of the Traffic Calming Commission. I do agree with this move. There is a decent speeding problem on Proctor Ave, so I think these measures would definitely help out. Commission, do we have any motion to approve?
Motion to send to public hearing.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
All right. Proctor and Adams Street, the installation of a speed hump and a stop sign at B Street will move to a public hearing. Is that all? Yep. All right,
We just,
thank
the
you.
last item is that, in the midst of reviewing the items we talked about tonight, we got a petition from a resident in Counselor Novoskowski's ward. I don't like to use people's names, even though this is public record, but this resident did get 10 signatures, household signatures. They're looking to do a traffic calming study between 79 and 8 Campbell Ave, on the downhill area heading towards Riviera Beach Parkway. So we are going to be placing the boards out there next week. Hopefully by then I'll have the information and I'll bring it back to this commission to tell you what we found there. So
Okay,
that's just really to let you know that's the next project that we'll be reviewing. Ira, do you want to talk?
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ira Novoselsky, 53 Dehona Street, Ward 2 Counselor. This is a request that I had from the neighbors, like Julie mentioned, and I told them what they had to do, and this is what we're doing to see what we can do to try and slow down traffic besides slowing down the speed limits. So appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. So this does not need our approval to go to the traffic calming policy. So, I'm sorry, the traffic working group. When that report is complete, we can then move forward in whichever way they decide. I believe that brings us to the end of our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you.